I earned my degree online at Arizona State University. I chose to get my degree at ASU because I knew that I'd get a quality education, they were recognized for excellence, and that I would be prepared for the workforce upon graduating. To be associated with ASU, both as a student and alum, it makes me extremely proud, and having experienced the program, I know now that I'm set up for success. Learn more at asuonline.asu.edu.
The Mario Rosenstock Podcast. Thanks to Hum. Finance made easy when you shop tech, electrical, appliances, kitchens, and much more. Flexify Europe Limited, trading as Hum, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Coming up on this episode of the Mario Rosenstock Podcast.
And it was on that night that I thought, right, second half, I went out and I thought, you're having it. You lot are having it. And I went out and I engaged and I gave it every ounce of my being. I gave it everything that I had to this audience. And the response in the second half was like, wow. I never walked on a stage again after that with a sense of, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm getting paid. I don't care. I never did that again. It was a massive turning point for me. And it's seen me well through the years.
Well, that turning point certainly did put singer Russell Watson's career on a whole new trajectory. Having started out cutting his teeth in working men's clubs across Northern England, Russell's hard work and talent eventually saw him selling out concerts globally, performing for the Queen, the Pope and US presidents, topping the charts in the UK and the US for months at a time and singing at major football and rugby finals all over the world. You might also know him as a contestant on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here in 2020. Russell's style is described as classical crossover, a blend of operatic technique with mainstream accessible music. His voice is, quite simply, fantastic. He's great crack too, a talented impressionist I found out, and he's got some great stories to tell.
And there's a knock at my door and it's Sean Connery.
Brilliant.
And he says, Russell, I'll be introducing you onto the stage and I just wondered how you'd like me to introduce you. And I said, I don't know, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Russell Watson. He says, I believe you know this little voice, is that right? And I said, yeah, I'll slip that in as well. I'd done the performance and I'd come off stage and Bobby says, oh, that was brilliant. He said, is there anything I can do for you? And me being me, you know, a bit of adrenaline in me body, he went, yeah, can I have your tie? And he went, snuck it off. He went, yeah.
That's cool.
I was like, no, I was only joking.
Oh.
He went, I'll sign it for you if you want. And he scribbled on it for me as well. Best wishes, Bobby Charlton.
Oh, brilliant.
I'd gone to one of the games and I was in the reception area and Sir Alex came walking out and I kind of saw him and I went, hey, Russell. And I went, yeah. He went, don't you forget us when you're famous, pal. And he walked off and I went, me forget you.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Russell will be in Ireland very soon for some shows in Wexford, Limerick and the National Concert Hall in Dublin. Check out russellwatson.com for all the details. Lots of news around this week, but one of the stories that have caused a bit of a stir is the news that RTE boss Kevin Backhurst is getting a 20k pay rise, presumably given to him by himself. Jeepers, I'd say his hotline was buzzing this week.
You've reached the voicemail of RTE chief Kevin Backhurst. Please leave a message after the noise. Ka-ching! Kevin, Ray Darcy here. Congratulations on the pay rise. Oh, and you're welcome. Joke. Not. Getting rid of me obviously freed up a chunk of change for you there in the crazy RTE coffers, so I'm glad to be able to contribute to a fatter wallet for yourself. I wonder where the rest of my old salary will go. More makeup for Marty Morrissey, or fresh hake in the canteen maybe. Good idea. Well done. Good luck.
Come here, Kevin. It's Brendan O'Connor here. Come here. I heard about your little pay bump there. You know, us RTE presenters have been very patient here in the background, yeah? So come here to me. Not asking for any money at all, but since the big storm a few years back, maybe a little review could be in order. I've been turning up every weekend here and talking to people about COVID, mental health, fuel protests, cookery tips over and over again. I haven't asked for a single penny. Christ's sake, Kevin. I don't think I can take any more of it on this salary of 250 odd grand a year. I need you to break me up a little chump change there and just wet me beak there a bit. You know, Kevo, pal. Come here.
Kevin, I hope you're not... Michael O'Leary here, by the way. I hope you're not getting a load of pissed-off calls now from pinko liberal RTE presenters in RTE about your minuscule pay rise. Most of the semi-state bosses would find 20k down the back of their sofas. You deserve better than this insult of a pay bump. Tell your pinko presenters to start berating the government on their silly news shows until you get some proper respect and start hammering that fool, the clown Mian Martin. Come on, man, grow a pair. Take control of your staff and get paid properly. Do it.
And exclusive new comedy every week on the Mario Rosenstock podcast. And if you want to get in touch with me, do so. MarioRosenstock@gmail.com. I read them all and I get back to most of them. If you want me to do some new characters, do some new sketches, anybody you'd like me to interview that I haven't covered so far, any smart ideas on sort of left of field picks that I might interview, let me know. And remember, please tell one other person about this podcast. That's all I ask if you like the podcast. We don't ask for any payment for this podcast. It's not a premium podcast. You get it for free in your ear hole every week. And because of that, I'm delighted to welcome along Hum Finance for coming on board as sponsors of the Mario Rosenstock podcast. Hum is a finance company based in Ireland with over 30 years experience globally. We're delighted to be partnering up with Hum for this show, and they help to bring you this show. Hum provides flexible payment solutions for customers on a wide range of retailers like IKEA, Harvey Norman, Easy Living Interiors, Easy Living Furniture, and DID, to name just a few. So whether you're buying a kitchen, a laptop, a TV, nice new jewellery or clothing, whatever it might be, Hum is there to help you make those purchases. Pay back. Bite size, easy payments. It couldn't be easier. Hum is there for the big things and the little things in life. And now they're here for me, the Mario Rosenstock podcast. Thanks, Hum. So let's meet my special guest on this episode, the legendary crossover singer, Russell Watson. Russell is a huge star now and has been for the last number of years. But like all big stars, he had to start somewhere. And for him, it was in the very tough working men's clubs in Northern England where it all began. I was watching a couple of documentaries recently, one on Take That and the other on Paul McCartney. And it was the Gary Barlow stuff that rang true to me a bit, especially concerning, you know, your own sort of background and how he was sort of developed. He developed himself in the working men's clubs, and that's very much your background as well. It seems like a kind of a peculiar place to develop. I mean, these lads, it's hard to impress these working men's clubs kind of audiences. And I mean, you're kind of going in there and you're a singer and a songwriter, and in your case, you're a singer and you're singing sort of show tunes. I mean, tough crowd.
Yeah, very tough crowd, but I learned so much in that arena. It's funny you should mention Gary, because I worked with Gary a few times over the years. In fact, he wrote a song for me back in the day. And when we got together, we were talking about art, because he used to do exactly the same club circuit as I did. We'd both see each other's names up on the boards of these venues that we were doing. I kept seeing this bloke, Gary Barlow and his piano. I was like, I wonder who this guy is. He seems to be, doing the exact same circuit as I was doing. And we laughed because when we did have a chat about it, it turned out that we both used the same agents as well. So we had these agents that they'd book you out for 2-3 gigs in a night, so you go to one club. I'd go to one club and take my microphone with me and my music, and I'd roll up, go in, do a half-hour spot, jump in my car, go down to the next venue, do a half-hour spot. And the thing is, from my perspective in particular, that learning curve was brilliant, because that's where I didn't just learn, I wasn't just learning and doing the job on the road. I wasn't just getting, first-hand experience. On top of that, I was also finding my feet with regards to how to communicate to an audience. And I kind of figured out over that 10-year period, that 10-year period where I became an overnight success. I remember reading it was 2000. There was this big double-page spread in one of the red top newspapers. Opened it up, and it's kind of big block letters across the top. Overnight success, Russell Watson. I remember thinking, that was a bloody long night.
Yeah, that was a long night. Yeah.
Like 10 years,
Yeah.
So it's funny because that training ground where I trod the boards, it gave me a tool, it gave me a skill set that now when I walk on the stage, the audience they're my friends. They're people that, unlike the clubs, they'd come in for a pint of beer to talk about the latest episode of Coronation Street or EastEnders. They'd come in for a pie. They'd come in for a game of bingo. They'd not come in to see me, so I had to win them over. The people that come in to see me now have paid money on a ticket, and they're there for me, and that's a completely different
Mad.
conception.
Yeah, that's totally mad. If you can win that first audience, it's going to make the rest of your life relatively easier.
Yeah, and the definite, during my career, there definitely came a switch point. There came a point where I remember quite often, if I didn't think that I had an audience that was engaged with me, I'd turn off. I'd go into kind of what, for want of a better word, autopilot. So the audience are chatting, it could be anything, like Wigan. Tough audience, Wigan. And Leeds, very tough audience as well. So I'd be in these venues and I'd kind of be doing my bit and just talking. I was like, oh, you know what? Switch off, do my 30 minutes, go and have a sit down, come back on, do my next 30 minutes, get in my car, drive home in a bad mood. But there came a point where I thought, what is the point of this? This isn't my dream anymore. This isn't what I signed up for. This isn't why, I stopped working. I did 6 years in a factory, engineering, making nuts and bolts. This isn't my dream. What do I do to make a difference here? What can I do to kind of get out of this mold, to get out of this proverbial banging my head against a brick wall sensation? And it was on that night that I thought, right, second half, I went out and I thought, you're having it. You lot are having it. And I went out and I engaged and I gave it every ounce of my being. I gave it everything that I had to this audience. And the response in the second half was like, wow. I never walked on a stage again after that with a sense of, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm getting paid. I don't care. I never did that again. It was a massive turning point for me, and it's seen me well through the years.
I get it. I think what you're talking about there is you're being truly present in that moment for that audience, not for that audience, not yesterday's audience, not tomorrow night's audience, tonight's audience, and just them, only them and you. And you're going to leave everything out on that stage, and you're going to put every drop of you into that audience you can, and at least they're going to leave and they're going to go, fucking hell, he absolutely gave it.
And you always knew in the clubs and in the Northwest Club, I did the Northwest Working Men's Clubs, and you always knew when you'd gone down well. Because first of all, you got a great reception, but secondly, you'd have the concert secretary coming over to you at the end of the night going, what are you doing on Christmas Eve, lad? Can we book you for New Year's Eve? You went down an absolute bomb. That was the pinnacle. I'd come on to some of these places and you were never top of the bill, but slowly, as time passed, the way I was presented, because you'd be drawn up on a poster, with a felt tip pen, Russ Watson, Cabaret, Saturday night, and all of a sudden it became fabulous, the fabulous Russell Watson, Saturday night, don't miss. That was kind of the gauge for me. I'm doing all right here because I'm not just Russ Watson anymore. I'm slowly moving up the ladder in Clubland, and it was brilliant. My first big agent, actually, a guy called Stuart Littlewood from International Artists. And he come and see me this night at, where was it? I was at Style prison officers club, style female prison officers club.
Female
So
prison
that-
officers.
Yeah, it
Brilliant.
was a ladies' prison, I think, in style. And he came to see me this night, and he never forgot, because every time he'd see me after that, whenever we did gigs together, remember where I first saw you in that prison officers club? Oh dear hell! And it's kind of, and it was, but that was the world from which I came from. So when it all kicked off in 1999, and I got my first, it was a 5-album record deal with Decca Records. I mean, it was a multi-million-pound deal. It was unbelievable and totally unexpected. And I wasn't prepared for that. I'd been in the clubs. I've been in, Wigan Row Working Men's Club, Back Belly Working Men. I've been all around the clubs in the Northwest. I had Fred on a Hammond organ. I had Bill on a 4-piece Pearl drum kit. And all of a sudden, I'm signed to Decca Records, and I'm walking into Erlinder's studio, and Nick Ingham's holding the baton, and the 72-piece Royal Philharmonic Orchestra, and I've got pieces specially arranged for me. And I'm walking into this environment thinking, how did I get here?
It must have been some personal thrill for you. Forget about the sort of 5-album deal, but as a musician to stand in front of a 72-piece orchestra, because that's something you can't sort of plan to do. It either is going to happen someday to you or it never will.
Yeah.
And so when you sit in front or stand in front of those great musicians, and each one of them, unheralded, unknown, they're not people who are famous. They're just good musicians, really good musicians. And there's 72 of them. And they create a sound presumably unlike any other that you ever sang in front of before.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. And I've got to be honest, I'd done by the time it got to that point in my career, I'd performed at some major sporting events.
Yeah.
So I'd when Manchester United won the treble, I sang at the last game of the season at Old Trafford in front of 57,500 people. And then I was invited subsequently to go and sing at the Camp Nou Stadium, Barcelona, when United beat Bayern Munich 2-1 in the final. And that was 92,000 people. And I was on the same stage as Montserrat Caballé. And all of a sudden, these amazing events are coming on. I did the Rugby Union World Cup. Again, just these events that with thousands of people, and I had no nerves. It felt like the most natural and wonderful and exciting thing in the world to me. But when you're walking into a location full of your peers, all at the top of the game, and they've all got their eyes on you, that's quite intimidating. And for a long time, I did feel quite intimidated by that whole scenario. But slowly, as the years passed, I kind of, in many respects, I think the car went before the horse with me. And so eventually I kind of grew into this role where, now 20 plus years on, I'll walk into a room with an orchestra and just go, "Hi, everybody," and they'll go, "Hello," a little tap of the bow. That didn't happen.
Well, you don't have imposter syndrome now. I mean, I suppose back then there's an element of imposter syndrome when you go, "Who? Me, really?"
There was very much an element of imposter syndrome. And also there was a cultural, I felt there was a cultural divide because I came from this working class background.
That's an interesting point you raise, because that's something I don't know about. Is there, I mean, you're a tenor, you're a singer, you sing arias, you sing Puccini, you sing, Italian compositions. I mean, is that something that you've known in your history or in the past as being confined to more middle class genre people, or upper class or middle class? I mean, your average lad from Widnes or Wigan isn't going around singing "Oh mio babino caro."
No, well, that's a soprano aria. It's written for a female voice.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So the chances are your average lad isn't going to be singing "Oh mio bambino."
Mio babino caro.
Oh, my beloved.
Oh, he's singing. He's singing.
father.
He's singing. He's singing. I got you to sing. I knew I could get you off guard.
Kind of.
Go on.
But yeah, I grew up with classical music. So even though I came from a working class background, my grandfather was a fantastic classical pianist. I started playing. Yep, he was amazing. Yep, he was absolutely.
And when you say classical pianist, what kind of stuff are you talking about him playing? I mean, is it kind of Chopin, Rachmaninoff, all of that stuff? Is it?
Yeah, he played a lot of Tchaikovsky.
Tchaikovsky, okay.
That he loved, and so did I from a very early age, the Chopin waltzes. And it was quite something, because I think from around about the age of 3, I would go into the room in which his piano was, and I would lean against the back leg of the piano. And as I was leaning and my grandfather was playing, I'd feel the vibrations going down my neck and into my back.
Lovely.
And more often than I remember there was so many times where he'd be playing these beautiful pieces of music. And at the time I had no idea what they were, but I just found them so beautiful.
That's lovely.
And so many times I remember falling asleep and not even realizing, and then waking up and, it's the morning.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. I didn't realize that at all. So that's a very clear.
And my mother had me playing piano with this little old lady that lived down the road from us called Mrs. Whitfield. And she had me playing piano from the age of 7. And then I got to my sort of early teens, 13, 14, and decided I didn't want to play the piano anymore. It wasn't cool. And that's when I got my first guitar, which was an old 70s Sunburst Hofner semi-acoustic.
And were you singing?
I started singing when I begun playing guitar, because that's when my friend and I, a lad called Steve Gleave, local soulful lad as well, and we get together wherever we could, in my bedroom, his bedroom, in the garages of our homes, and we'd sit. I had this book. It was called A Bumper Book of 101 Beatles Songs.
Oh, wow.
And we knew this book from start to end. And what was amazing about that book was we were kind of obsessed with the Beatles music. Spin on, I think it would have been 15 years or so. And I'm on stage, and it's the Nobel Peace Prize Awards in Oslo, and I'm on stage singing "Let It Be" with Paul McCartney, and
Amazing.
that was pretty much right at the start of my career. But it was one of the most surreal moments of my entire life, because, I remember, I don't know if it came over that way, but it certainly felt that way. But I'm kind of singing it. He starts off, "When I find myself in times," and I'm looking over it and thinking, that's Paul McCartney.
I know. And he's singing "Mother Mary Comes to Me," and that's, of course, about his own mother.
Yeah.
And what an amazing thing to be singing at the Nobel Prize Awards. Was it Nobel Peace Prize, did you say?
Yeah.
That's beautiful. When you sang at the, you're a Man United fan, so singing at Man United must have been surreal as well. Like playing with McCartney. What did you sing at United? Can you remember what you sang at Barcelona and then United?
I sang Nessun Dorma for Manchester United, which is a tenor aria.
Yeah.
For me, that day was singularly, probably, certainly at that point, was the most amazing thing that had happened to me.
Yeah.
And I remember it. So I took my dad with me. My dad came along, and again, I remember being stood at pitch side, waiting to go on before literally as the teams came running out. I went on the pitch to sing Nessun Dorma, and I remember being stood at the side, and my dad was like this, and he said, "You're not nervous?" I went, "No," I said, "I can't wait to get out there." And he went, "I'm bloody petrified, I'm not singing." And anyway, I went out and I sung. And it's funny because I was after I did it, I was getting different feedback from so I mentioned to you my friend, the guy who used to play the old Beatles songs with
Steve, is it?
Steve Gleave.
Yeah.
And he was because it was the last game of the season. It was the day we won the Premier League. That was like the first step to the treble. And I remember Steve said, it's funny, like I was sat in the case stand, and it was like, they're always sat behind me. They're always going on about something or other. And I heard him say, like, you come out and then Keith Fane introduced you and you started singing Nessun Dorma. He says, and then I heard this guy, they're like skinheads, with tattoos and what have you. And I heard this guy say to his mate, he says, F off, he's not from Salford. Anyway, he says, halfway through, though, like when you took your jacket off and you got your shirt on and you went, "Are you all right?" And they heard you, and then this other guy says to the other one, he says, "Hey, maybe he is from Salford." But then there was this brilliant write-up. It was the first thing that had ever been written about me. I'll see. Yeah, it was in the Manchester Evening News, and it was in the middle of like the review of the game, and it said something like, as the young man stepped onto the hallowed turf of Old Trafford and began to sing, slowly the noise of the crowd started to drop.
Nice.
When you've witnessed something special, when even the cynical hacks in the press box join in the ovation, I swear even the pigeons on the roofs of the stands flapped their wings when he hit the high note of Nessun Dorma.
That's good writing.
I know. And I've kept that, and it's just...
You know what you need to do? You need to get Morgan Freeman to do the voiceover of what that is. That would.
Well, it's funny you should mention him, because I did... I'm not bragging here.
Yeah.
But the one of the highlights of my career, I'm a massive James Bond fan.
Oh, yeah.
I love all the Bond movies.
Yeah.
But, and Sean Connery, for me, is the ultimate. And I was doing this event in Monaco, and it was, the Laureate Sports Awards. So it's 2002, and all the great and the good of the sports world have been invited to this event. There was, the Beckhams were there, and there was a whole host of people. Michael Douglas and his Catherine Zeta-Jones were there. There was this big host of superstars. I think Ronaldo was there. And it was this amazing event. But I was told that someone came in the dressing room and said, just to let you know, Sean Connery will be introducing you onto the stage. So I was like, all right, okay, great stuff. Anyway, it's been on about half an hour, and there's a knock at my door, and it's Sean Connery.
Brilliant.
I was like, honestly, I couldn't believe it. And he says, "Russell, I'll be introducing you onto the stage, and I just wondered how you'd like me to introduce you." And I said, I don't know. I said, "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Russell Watson." She says, "I believe you know this little voice, is that right?" And I said, yeah, I'll slip that in as well. So anyway, honestly, so it comes to the performance, and I've stood at the side of the stage, and Sean comes on stage left, walks into the middle, grabs hold of the microphone, and as smooth as you like, he goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome onto the stage the voice, Russell Watson."
That's great.
Walked on, and I did my couple of numbers, and then Morgan Freeman took me off the stage, walked me off the stage. I mean, it's
terrific.
Just, those are the halcyon days.
Terrific. And I would say that's a 9.9 for the impression of Connery there. That's very good.
I'm here on the job site with Dale, who's a framing contractor.
Hey, good morning.
Dale traded up to Geico Commercial Auto Insurance for all his business vehicles. We're here where he needs us most.
Yep, they sure are.
We make it easy for him to save on all his insurance needs, all in one place, with coverage that fits his business and bottom line. Oh, I shouldn't have looked down.
It's all right.
We're so far up here.
Look at me. Take a deep breath.
No, I'm good. So good.
Get a commercial auto insurance quote today at geico.com and see how much you could save. It feels good to Geico.
And Lionel Richie, good. You performed with him as well, is that right?
Lovely man.
Lovely man. Is he like? Because he strikes me as, I saw the documentary about We Are the World. I don't know if you've seen it, and you get a good look at Richie in that. And what he comes across in as that is he's from that Quincy Jones school where they're just rock hard professionals. They are real professionals. And even the Jacksons were all like that. They were like, they're up at 5 a.m, they're dancing at 7, they're like singing at 10 to 5. They're hard workers. There's that whole culture of the black, these black entertainers who they're total pros like. And it seems to me that Richie comes from that really professional sort of dude, wanting to get it right.
I would say that, but I think most artists, that there's a major similarity between any artist that's kind of stood the test of time, that's had longevity. Longevity is one of the most difficult things to attain in the music industry. Mm-hmm. Reaching a level of success in relative terms, I think, is not so difficult, but attaining that success for a long period of time, it doesn't just happen. I can attest to that.
Yeah,
I don't wake up in the morning thinking, what am I having for breakfast? I wake up in the morning thinking, right, what am I doing today? What can we do today to keep things moving? And I'm not necessarily talking about social media. Social media is one thing. I'm thinking about my career. I'm thinking about what I'm doing in 2028 now. I've already got my next 2 years mapped out. I'm thinking about what can I do in 2028 that's going to be different from what I'm doing now to keep people engaged. I think reinvention in my case is, I don't know, it's
keeping it fresh, keeping it fresh,
moving things around, just like little chess pieces. So people don't go, oh, I saw that last year.
You're totally right. The one thing is, like, people ask about, like, say Madonna or something, and they go, how do all these people like Madonna do it? And the people that do it is Madonna. It's nobody else. They're the ones that do it. It's got to be you, Russell. Nobody's going to do it for you. And I think you would agree with that, wouldn't you? Nobody is going to do it for you. No matter how much money you have, no matter how much entourage you have, no matter how much management, they're not going to do it for you, because at the end of the day, the people around you will benefit from the stuff you do. But the only person that really, truly knows where to go next and when to do it and which risk to take is you. Because it all comes down to you. And you're the one that has to move the dial forward.
It took me, I've been doing this now as a recording artist. If I include the time in the clubs, it's been 36 years. I've been treading the boards professionally. When I think about the first 10 years of my recording career, that was the learning curve. The last 15 years or so have been the years in which I've discovered that there is no magic person out there. They don't exist. They do not exist. And you can take it, you can say, I don't know, if you've got an artist with talent, then you have something to sell and you can have success. But once you've attained that success, I attained the success. I don't have a manager now. My wife and I do it all ourselves from home. We don't use an agent. We work with promoters because we're familiar now. After 25, 26 years of experience, I'm familiar with how promoters do deals and how promoters work because I've watched agents do it. So you don't take someone on and not listen to what's going on and just go, oh, let them do everything for me. Now, everything is done here. And we've even more recently, we've started putting on our own concerts. So we don't use any promoters. We don't use agents. We will be using promoters as a rule as we move forward, because they are an essential part. They're an essential part of the ingredients of a touring artist, and they take a huge amount of pressure off. But the need for managers at my stage in life and career, because I don't need someone to go out and say, I'm going to get you a tour in Timbuktu, because I don't want to go to Timbuktu. I'm happy here. I've done all that. I've toured the world. I've been to Australia and toured over there. I've been round the world umpteen times, and I've done it all, and it was fantastic. But my priorities in life have changed. The love for the music and what I do is still exactly the same as it was when I first started. But my priorities have changed now, so it's not all about music. There's also a balance of life and family and friends as well, mixed in with the music. And I think that's really important.
It is. And I
don't want to go to, I don't want to spend a year in America, breaking America again. I can't be bothered.
But also, it is your affair how you have to keep it fresh, and it's nobody else is going to do it for you. It has to come for you. What did you sing at Bobby Charlton's funeral?
I sang "How Great Thou Art."
Okay, pretty apt.
I sang "Abide with Me."
Abide with Me.
Well.
Yeah. A wonderful figure. He was a wonderful Manchester.
And I was invited to sing by his wife as well, which was, for me, was a great honour. But I also sang at Georgie Best's memorial too, at Salford Cathedral, which again was a marvellous honour. That link with Manchester United and a lot of the old legends is something, the only thing I wish was that my granddad, who was a huge football fan,
the pianist,
had been like, because no, my granddad on my dad's
the other side, okay,
he would have been so thrilled, because he used to talk. I remember I never saw Bobby Charlton play, but he used to talk about Charlton and Best and the greats. He'd come round on a Sunday with my gran, and all I'd want to do is talk to my granddad about, the old football stars, and he'd be telling me about Bobby Charlton when he hit the ball, it stayed hitting me. I remember this time he hit the ball so hard it bust the back of the net. So I heard about all these greats. So when eventually I came to meet Bobby for the first time, I couldn't believe that this superstar of a man who was a legend, not just here, but across the world, was so humble and so down to earth and such a gentleman. It was incredible. I remember, as I've got his tie up here, actually, this is one of Bobby's ties. And I was doing a charity event with Bobby. I was singing and we were earning money. And so that's the tie. And I remember just jokingly, and I'd done the performance and I'd come off stage, and Bobby says, "Oh, that was brilliant." He said, "Is there anything I can do for you?" And me being me, a bit of adrenaline in me body, went, "Yeah, can I have your tie?" And he went, stuck it off. He went, "Yeah,
that's cool."
I was like, "No, I was only joking." He went, "I'll sign it for you if you want." And he scribbled on it for me as well. "Best wishes, Bobby Charlton." I was like,
brilliant.
"No," I said I was joking. He went, No, I want you to have it.
Oh, that's nice. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
But what a lovely man.
Yes, I met him once. They brought the Manchester United brought the Premier League trophy over to. He brought the Premier League trophy over to our radio station in Dublin, and they were giving it a tour. You know the way they do a little tour with the Premier League.
Yeah.
And I was working in the station, so I got a photo with Bob and the Premier League thing. But again, what came across from him was completely unassuming, and he's just completely old school sort of a fella, So a lovely man, a privilege to meet him. But just talking about the working men's clubs and everything, I mean, and professionalism and how keeping going and longevity and all of that, and how it must be you that does it. Nobody else is going to do it for you. It's not a fluke that people stay relevant. I mean, like my favorite sport is tennis. I love football, I love rugby, but my favorite sport is tennis. And
me too.
Really, right?
I love tennis.
Yeah, and I'd be like obviously a great fan of Roger Federer, But one of the biggest lessons I learned in life was listening to Roger Federer talk about his work ethic and how hard he worked and how he was sick of people talking about effortlessness and grace and all this stuff. He said, that's completely incorrect. I work my buns off. I work my butt off. I work as hard as Rafa. I work as hard as Novak. I always have. And that's what I love. I love grafters. And then it just brings me back to your working men's clubs, because there's an old story about David Bowie working the working men's clubs. And he's going in and your man is showing him around. One of the guys that would do the voice that you were doing, hey, kid. And he's there, sorry, mate, is there a toilet or wherever? And he goes, yeah, there you go. And it's like just a little tiny basin. And Bowie looks at the basin and looks at your man. Looks at the basin, looks at your man. He looks back and he goes, if it were good enough for Shirley Bassey, it's good enough for thee.
That's spawn.
And that's a true story, because that's and what it takes me back is that Bowie was a fucking pro. He was a grafter, a worker, and everybody who worked with Bowie go, he's just interested in the work. You know, and he's really good to be around. He was quite collegiate and friendly. And he was a real hard worker, and he wanted to find the next groove, the next thing. He wanted to, what's next? Work. And that's what he is, a worker. I mean, you know, David Bowie just didn't land, even though we sort of think he didn't land from space and became, wow, this is David Bowie. He's from Britain. He's from England. He worked his nuts off, and it didn't work for David Bowie for the first 7 years. You know, it wasn't all. And
it was the same for me.
Yeah.
You know, I was going through this stage in my career, around about 7-8 years in to the clubs. This is 2-3 years before the fame hit, and I was thinking, you know, is this going to be my lot for the rest of my life? Because I just feel like I'm not getting anywhere. There's this kind of golden carrot dangling in front of me, and every time I feel like I'm getting to the point where I can grab it, something happens and it disappears, and it doesn't happen. And I was kind of thinking, am I being taunted? Is this my destiny to spend the rest of my... And I'm not saying it's not a good career, because it was. And I was making money, and I was...
Doing what you love.
It's damn sight better than being in on the production line that was on in the factory. But I wanted more, and I had this dream, and I had this vision, and it wasn't happening. So when it did, there was no way I was going to let it go. And I figured out, it's interesting, more like a sort of, I guess, from a sociological perspective, that there's this theory that to be excellent at something, you've got to put in a minimum of 10,000 hours practice to be proficient, to be very, very good at something. You have to do it for at least 10,000 hours. And I'd done way more than that when I came out of the clubs and we released that first record. And I kind of, at that point, as much as, you know, I mentioned to you about feeling slightly intimidated by being stood in front of such an immense group of musicians, and I wasn't thinking about them singularly, I was thinking about them as a group. This is the greatest orchestra in the world, and I'm stood before them. I hope they bloody like me. You know, I was petrified. I'm talking about when I hit the scene. I was so ready for it, and I walked into so many different environments with this, with confidence. I didn't feel when I was performing at the Nobel Peace Prize Awards and I stepped onto the stage, as much as I was amazed that I was with Paul McCartney, I did not feel in awe of the situation. The person, yes. There's only two people that I've ever been in awe of: Paul McCartney and Sir Alex Ferguson. That's it.
Sir Alex.
And I've worked with some incredible people over the years, but they're the only two people where I've been a little bit like,
And he's been nice to you, hasn't he? Like Alex, I think did he remark at one stage that he thought you were a bit of a lucky mascot for him?
yes. Well, I remember him saying to me, this would have been when my fame was just kicking off in 2000. I think by that point the record had gone to number one.
Yeah.
And I'd gone to one of the games and I was in the reception area and Sir Alex came walking out and I kind of saw him and I went, well, hey, Russell. And I went, yeah. He went, don't you forget us when you're famous, pal. And he walked off and I went, me forget you.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Again, a down-to-earth kind of man, a guy who believes in hard yards won and the graft.
Yeah, but you could see in his eyes there was steel running through his veins. You wouldn't want to mess. I mean, the team at the moment could do with someone like him.
Oh, it's steel.
Right,
Roy Keane often remarks that although Roy Keane fell out with Ferguson badly,
big time,
he does remark that in his best periods that Ferguson just knew what to say to the team. But my favourite instance of that is, you probably know it yourself, but my favourite instance of that is where Keane recounts this moment where Man United, I think they'd been playing midweek in Europe, they were wrecked. And top of the league, but they were wrecked and they were coming back to Old Trafford. And they had Spurs at the weekend and no sign of Fergie. He normally comes in and does whatever. And they're kitted out now. They're all made up now, ready to go out. No sign of Fergie. And they're going, is he ill? Why hasn't he come in? Right? Then 2 minutes before they have to go out, door opens. Fergie comes in. He goes, lads, it's Tottenham. Closes the door. Walks out. And basically they knew what he was saying. It's fucking Tottenham.
Yeah.
And like he's just saying, forget about your tiredness. Forget about, lads, it's Tottenham. What he was saying was, you're Manchester United. This is Tottenham. You know what's going to happen today. And they all just went out and we just went out and fucking hammered them. Because it's Tottenham. And in other words, he had kind of put his finger on it. He knew they were tired. He knew that they were travel and all this. And he just went, lads, relax, it's Tottenham. He didn't say relax, but he said, lads, it's Tottenham. And they knew what he meant. And but that takes a little bit of genius.
And it was some group of players that as well.
Yeah.
I think they were very responsive to what he said. And that, I think you would go a very, very long way these days to get that kind of synergy with a football manager and a group of players. Because I think it's got to be tougher for managers now because they're dealing with a lot of egos and a lot of young people who are making a lot of money, who've all got their own stuff going on, have all got their own little things going on in their head. And who'd want to be a football manager these days?
Russell, I know you love tennis and I know you love football. I know you love Manchester United and Bobby Charlton and all that sort of stuff, but it's all about the music for you. And you're in the National Opera House in Wexford and UCH in Limerick and the NCH in Dublin. Another great room, actually, the National Concert Hall of Dublin. And you're also doing Belfast as well. And it's all about the music. And I have a set list here from 2025. So you're probably doing some of these. But some or all of these. But so I'll just get a brief word on O Solo Mio is that's O Solo Mio. That's the Pavarotti kind of favorite again and Carreras and all that.
Yeah. And it's one of the old classical Neapolitan favorites.
Easy or hard? Hard.
It's a big one to start with because it's that last note's. That last note's a bit of a challenge.
What are you doing a half an hour before you go on stage in your dressing room?
Warming up.
Yeah.
Warming up.
Do you have a complex little series of warm-ups or a whole little?
Yeah, I use it's a warm-up sequence used by Enrico Caruso, who was a wonderful tenor.
Great tenor from Italy in the 20s and 30s.
That's right. Yeah, I use his warm-ups.
He had warm-ups,
with-
a special sort of series of things that he did, was it?
Yeah, they're brilliant. They're quite complex, but they're I just find them really good for building my stamina and strength. And on the day of a concert, it gets me up to the B flat nice and easy as well.
And on this particular night, you did O Sole Mio, you did Ave Maria. So that's the Ave Maria. Not that one, is it?
No, that's the Schubert. This is the Bach Gounod.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's all right.
Stay in your fucking box, Mario. Moon River. Well, we all know what that is. So that's so that's Moon River. That's George Peppard and Audrey Hepburn, the film.
Yeah, that's right.
O Mio Babino Caro, which of course is for, as we all know, it's for a soprano. As we all know.
Yeah, that's my soprano Nancy May, lady with a brilliant voice.
Oh,
so she'll be joining me on stage.
Okay. And what's the prayer?
It's an old David Foster classic from an old, I think it was an old animated film. But it's a beautiful, beautiful song.
Okay.
Really lovely. I originally sang it on my second album with Lulu.
Oh, Lulu, right. I saw Lulu recently on an Instagram, little piece of Instagram, singing, "Ooh, I feel laughter in the rain" with Neil Sedaka. It was beautiful.
Oh.
The two of them on
Good
the
old
piano.
Neil
Sedaka, "Laughter in the Rain." Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah, it's a great song.
Lovely song. Then you sing "You Are So Beautiful." Is that the Joe Cocker?
Yeah, it is. It is. It's a different arrangement of it, but I think, it's a fan's favourite, that one.
Yeah. Parla più piano. What the hell is that?
Parla più piano. It's the theme tune from The Godfather. So it kind of... Parla più piano e nessuno sentirà.
Wow.
Il nostro amore lo viviamo io e te.
Lovely. That's beautiful. They're in good voice. You haven't got a cold at all. Angels, is that Robbie Williams' Angels?
Yeah, I won't be doing that. That was for the last tour.
Okay, Volare, we know that one. Think of Me. What's Think of Me?
Think of Me is again Nancy May. That's from Les Mis. No, that's actually from Phantom.
Okay, I Dreamed a Dream.
That's from Les Miserables.
Beautiful. Amore e Musica.
Amore Musica.
Amore Musica.
That's from my fourth album, which was a little bit of an international success, actually. That's a great tune.
And one of my favourites, I have to say, Music of the Night.
Music of the Night, yeah. I do that. Just Mike and I do that. Mike obviously plays piano. A little bit about Mike Moran as well. Genius. He's my musical director and piano player.
Yeah.
Mike used to play piano for Freddie Mercury during his solo career.
Oh my God.
And Mike wrote the hit song for Freddie and Montserrat Caballé, Barcelona.
He wrote that?
He wrote it, yes.
Jesus. Nice.
Yes. So Mike's quite prolific, and it's great because we've worked together. Mike and I have worked together now for over 20 years, and the synergy, the connection between us. So for instance, when I do something like we do these beautiful. They're called. There's this composer, Tosti, who wrote these very, very short, bouncy little arias. Very romantic, lovely, sort of happy feel to them. There's one of them that I do called Avukella. And when Mike and I do that together, the connection between us, because I can pull it all over the place, take it where I want it to go. And Mike literally just sits watching every intake of breath that I take. And it's quite something, really.
Yeah.
And even more so on, say, a piece like Bring Him Home.
Yeah.
That connection between us where, again, it's just piano and voice.
Yes. That's beautiful, Bring Him Home. Are you familiar with the singer, Colm C.T. Wilkinson?
Colin Wilkinson.
Yeah.
The original Jean Valjean.
That's right.
Oh, my word. I love his voice.
So he's from just down the road here in Dublin. And he did a long Bring Him Home, Bring Him Home. He did this. It's lovely.
I liked the emphasis that he put on certain words. It just, for me, the best of Valjean's. I mean, there's been a lot that have been fabulous, but there was just something about him that was extra special. I can watch old performances of Colin Wilkinson singing Bring Him Home, and nobody brings a tear to my eye like he does.
Yes, nice.
Fabulous.
Absolutely. And in this particular set list, this might have been from a year ago now, so I don't know if you do it anymore. And Wonderwall is in it as well.
Yeah, I won't be doing that. I did that at Manchester. That's the only time I did it.
Because there's a great mix of obviously new songs, like as in modern songs and old songs. And I'm just wondering, would there be any chance for doing hip hop or anything like?
No.
Shut up. We're going to party like it's me birthday.
It's
me birthday.
I'm getting to that stage in my life where I might need a hip hop. I don't know about doing hip hop.
A hip hop?
Shut it down, motherfuckers.
I popped a pup in his ass, motherfucker. It'd be interesting to hear a tenor so brilliant as you doing Kanye West or something.
I ain't saying she's a gold digger.
There's something in it, Russell. There's something in it. I'm convinced. Tell Mike. Ask Mike. Mike would agree. I think Mike would go, I think he might be onto something there.
Mike's a pretty straight talking guy. I think I know what Mike might say.
Yeah. Well, listen, I want to thank you for talking to me today and also for engaging in the conversation, because you were an engaging performer, and I want to thank you for engaging with me today and being present in the room and doing your best for this. I'm aware that you've had a little bit of man flu, and happy to hear that you might be getting better, and really happy to hear that you'll be good when you come to the National Opera House in Wexford, UCH in Limerick, and the National Concerthall in Dublin. And Russell, it's been a real pleasure talking to you.
Thank you very much. It's been a real pleasure talking to you as well. Thank you.
Mind yourself.
And my thanks to Russell Watson for coming in and telling me his really, really fascinating story. And he's a lovely chap as well. And as I said, a really good impressionist. My thanks as well to Hum Finance for coming on board as sponsors of the Mario Rosenstock podcast. 30 years experience globally. Hum is there for the big things and the little things in life. And now they're here on this podcast. But my special thanks to you, the listener, as always. Tell one other person about this podcast if you enjoyed it. And I'll see you same time, same place next week.
The Mario Rosenstock Podcast. Thanks to Hum. Finance made easy when you shop tech, electrical, appliances, kitchens, and much more. Flexify Europe Limited, trading as Hum, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.